Now, when I was moaning about the mark scheme, this is where the mark scheme gets really confusing and goes off the normal rules of business studies, if you ask me. We're going to look at these 3 markers. So if you remember in the exam, if I jump back over here, if you see, we're going to have in the exam, we're going to have 1, 2, 3 define questions, and we're going to have 3 mark questions. So it's really important you understand how to do the 2 markers and the 3 markers. But let's get back to the 3 markers. So over here, they call them explain questions, but then they put this ridiculously confusing, if you've come from IGCSE, rubric here, where they say there's 1 mark for knowledge and there's 2 marks for application. But when we look at the questions don't have anything seemingly to apply because there is no case study. That confuses a massive amount of teachers, never mind students. They've tried to clarify this with this rule. I'm going to read you this now, but it's a bit confusing. I'll explain afterwards how we deal with it. Explain is not the same as analyze, they say. Okay, they say that. Explain asks candidates to make a point, then link to the business situation. The candidate should show that they understand how the theory relates to real business practices. Analyze asks students to apply their point to a business situation. Candidates need to explain why the point matters to the business and use any data which is available to support their points. Candidates should be encouraged to develop the explanation using consequences. Well, using consequences, you could call it a chain of consequences, the chain of analysis, because you're giving the consequence of each. So I think all of that is a bit of a mess, and essentially this is how I tell my students to deal with it. They've got that funny rubric. They talk about not being an analysis question, but it kind of is the best way to deal with it. So this is the way. This is the structure and the recipe that you should be following. You need to answer the question and then use for example. So this is a typical 3-mark question here. Explain 1 way, and they used to say 2 ways, by the way, in the old paper. They don't do that now in the modern style. It is going to be 1 way. So old videos, be careful, they'll give you the wrong advice. It is 1 way. So explain 1 way a business could extend the product life cycle. You're going to use, for example. Remember, saying a business is not an example. Think carefully, choose your example well, and then the first mark will be for knowledge, and the other 2 marks for how clearly your example explains the point. So in this one, if we put it here, explain, this would be a model answer. 1 way to extend the life cycle of a product is to reduce price. Now that is the knowledge point. You have to know it. You have to have revised it. You have to use the online apps and the textbook and learned it. If that's wrong, forget it. You're not getting any more marks. But once we've learned that, that is true. So that's immediately getting me my knowledge mark. Follow that up. New sentence. For example. So for example, Samsung could extend the life of Galaxy S2022 by reducing the price. Do you see there? I've made it real. Absolutely real business. They get confused, and some of the students saying, can you use real businesses? Yes, you can. They love it. They absolutely can use a real product from real life. Very clear about that. You can use it. So that is going to make everything more real, allowing me to get the application analysis. What's the consequence? So, for example, Samsung could extend the life of the Galaxy S22 by reducing the price. This means that, from my chain of analysis, the potential market size will increase as more people can afford it. Then another one, just for good measure, I put, consequently, sales will increase. Now that is going to hit the 3 marks. We're going to have the knowledge point and then the 2 application marks, which are essentially application mixed in with 2 chains of analysis points. Really weird mark schemes. They don't always help, but that's the technique you need to be following if you want to get the scores.